I have to say that it's so nice to be back to face-to-face. I think that at least I had enough of the Zooms, the Teams, so I think it's incredible, happy and excited to see you guys in the room face-to-face in a beautiful venue. So I hope that you feel the same. So today we're going to have a panel with two Richard to really talk about how do we use digital and data to accelerate customer experience, which is a very important topic. So let me first introduce our panel members. So we have Richard Devella, who is the head of marketing UK and Europe Malaysia Airlines. So Richard came from a very rich tourist travel background. He worked roughly about 11 years in the tourism of Philippine embassy, really promoting the travel and then for the country. And then roughly that a couple of years ago, he moved over to Malaysia Airlines, doing a huge transformation in terms of using data and digital to drive customer experience, but also importantly, driving customer revenue. So you're going to hear a lot about Richard's story. And then our another panel member is also another Richard. And then it's Richard Owen-Hughes, who is a group marketing director for driver hire group service. And then driver hire service is also a mix of B2B and B2C. Where Richard's going to share a fantastic story about during the pandemic, how do they really use digital and data to really transform the business and getting record revenue. So you're going to hear a lot from Richard as well. For my background, so my name is Carol. So I'm currently the Global Marketing Senior VP for Shell Mobility, which is our retail business. Roughly about 47,000 retail sites globally. I think we're one of the biggest retailers in the world. So I've been 7 years in Shell, and prior to Shell, I spent 20 years in P&G, many years in Asia, a couple years in North America, and now in UK. So that's my background. So let's get cracking. So today, as you can see, the topic is how to use data and digital to accelerate customer experience. I know the room is a mix of B2B and B2C companies. So actually, I'm one of the person who love numbers. So I actually really dig out a couple numbers to say why this is important. So for those who work in the B2C company, 42% of the customers say that a seamless cross-channel experience is what they're expecting. So it's not about nice to have, it's actually what they're expecting. The companies or the brands who offer seamless customer experience actually are able to deliver 6 times higher profitability year on year. So these are the data across Gartner, Kantar, and the Accenture. So that's for the B2C business. And then I also dig out the B2B business. So what are the B2B buyers saying? So the B2B buyers saying that 70% of buyers saying that the task in their decision journey is either already digital or they're ready to move digital. So it's, again, not nice to have, it's essential. And then 55% of the lead buyers of the company saying that excellent digital buying experience is extremely important for their vendor selection. But 86% of buyers saying that they're really struggling with the speed of resolving issues. So I want to give you those numbers. And what this number is telling us is that, again, it's not a nice to have. How do you really drive the best customer experience? It's going to have a direct correlation with the revenue. It's as simple as that. But then the question, again, I think what we want to really go really deep is not about knowing what's the right thing to do, but importantly, how do you do it right? So that's what we're going to really go deep in today's panel. So I'm going to start with you, Richard. So I know you had a lot of success in the last couple of years in terms of use data, digital to drive customer experience. Tell us about what have you been able to achieve?
So just more recently, we've been using our customer insights across different touch points, from the way our customers interact with their different portals. We send them regular surveys, and we're actually quite surprised on how, and these are very detailed surveys that take about 15 minutes to complete, how many of our customers actually take the time to complete it just because they want to talk to us, talk to our brand in terms of what they want to see and what kind of products they want to get from us. and how they want to interact with us. And we use all of these insights to drive our product development, product diversification, and use those to deliver a better experience to the customer. One case in point from that is over the past year and a half, we've used one of our customer surveys to expand our economy fare offering. So we split our economy fare into 3 different branded fare products. One was Economy Basic, Economy Light, and Economy Flex. Flex came with all the bells and whistles, and most crucially, ability to refund without a fee anytime you want, and unlimited flexibility. So you can wake up one day with your flights like, oh, I'm going to move that tomorrow, and do that 200 times if you want to. And for a nominal upgrade from the basic fare, which paid pretty much like under £50 for a 13-hour flight, becomes a no-brainer for customers. And what we found out, up until today, 90% of our customers actually take advantage of it. So it's exactly delivering them what they've asked for and delivering it at speed as well, and to a right package that they want to. And also we've used that as well to upsell one of our other products called MH Upgrade. And what we found out is that as soon as they complete their Economy Flex purchase, we're able to upsell them certain ancillaries, saying that, oh, we have an MH Upgrade product, upgrade to business class for just this amount of fee, and we've seen the click-through rate for that one increase 5-fold.
Okay. And what's the business results you're seeing with everything you're doing?
So I'll get into that on another product, but we've seen very increases in conversion rate, click-through rate, which we're talking about just a 1% conversion rate, for flight searches of about 1,000 a day on our website, that is very big in terms of revenue and very significant. And we're using these customer insights and learnings because we have quite a very wide array of products. It's not just the seat on the flight. We have all the types of ancillaries, all of our different products as well. Any new learnings, we try to roll it across our different portfolio as well.
Yeah, okay. No, I really like that story. It's about understanding, listening to the customer, translating to action, and then seeing the business result, which delight the customer. Really, I think it's a great achievement.
Yes.
Yeah. And Richard, how about you? What have you done?
Okay, so just by way of a brief introduction, so Driver Hire is primarily a recruitment business. You can probably guess what sort of roles we mostly do. But
really in demand
we're quite busy
lately.
at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, the story for us in terms of digital that I think is interesting is on our training side of the business. And pre-pandemic, we were one of the leading providers of a thing called driver CPC training. Again, it's in the news at the moment, but it's a mandatory bit of training that all professional truck drivers have to have. And pre-pandemic, it had to be delivered in the classroom. So actually, the shift to digital for us was something that came about as a result of the pandemic. And the government, a few weeks in, obviously with social distancing, said, right, well, you can now deliver this service online. We moved very fast, kept it pretty simple, to be honest with you. We simply moved the training that we were providing from a classroom-based thing we use WebEx as our primary tool. But it completely changed the customer experience as a result. So all of a sudden, drivers would find that instead of having to take a day off work and travel somewhere, they could do the training that they needed at home at a time that was convenient for them. We shifted to evenings, weekends, all that kind of thing. And another benefit was that people found that they were all of a sudden meeting from all over the country. So instead of being just focused in one particular area, all of a sudden this sort of network, you might not think drivers like a network, but they do. Transport CAF moves online as well. And so that really helped. And what we found was, first of all, from our point of view, the fact that we shifted very quickly to digital meant that we went from a roughly speaking 8% market share pre-pandemic to something like 20% market share now. So within the course of sort of 18 months, really rocketed. And then the customer likes it too. So we measure, again, like you with surveys, and the post-training survey results that we see is that we get something like 95% of people who've done the training online have rated it as good or excellent. So they really like that shift to online.
Yeah, I have to say that if there's one thing we all learned during the pandemic is our ability to drive change at speed.
Yeah.
And I think your story is really hitting a really big customer pain point would be they want the service the time they want it and the place they want it.
Yeah.
And actually you guys able to make that pivot, use pandemic as an opportunity to grow market share. It's incredible.
Yeah, and we also saw a big shift from B2B to B2C. So traditionally, the training product was a sale using face-to-face meetings, telesales, and what have you to B2B audience. And through the pandemic, we found that actually we can talk directly to the end user of the training and conduct a B2C sale instead, which is interesting for us.
Which is very interesting. No, that's really good. And then a little bit sharing a little bit about my journey in terms of Shell. So roughly we have we interact with 30 million customers every day across all the retail stations. And we have a loyalty customer database of 50 million globally. And one of the things we've done during the pandemic, which is also interesting, is as you can imagine that it's a roller coaster for our business because a lot of the travel are being locked down. And we're actually very similar to Richard. We have a voice of customer program. It's embedded in a loyalty app across 57 markets, and we're getting roughly about 2.7 million customer response a year. And one of the interesting factors, what we have seen during the pandemic would be, again, the customer needs or expectation is changing, right? And then we use a real-time voice of customer by site, by location, by country to say what are the areas that customer wanted more, or what are the areas they're very frustrated, and how do we put actions. To give you a couple of examples, we're here in UK. So in the very early days during the pandemic, one of the surveys we've seen from the voice of customer in UK is that the customers are complaining about the cleanness of our restrooms. And just because that people have higher standard of hygiene, and many locations are locked down, and then they probably use our location more. But we see that very early during the pandemic, and then very quickly we said, this is what the customer is telling us. What do we do about that? This is important to them. So very quickly that across the UK team launched the Love Our Loo program with every single station, every single service champion on site to say, we need to get our cleanness of toilet to the highest standard. And then after doing that campaign, about 2 weeks, we literally hear from the voice of customer survey that the amount of customer satisfaction went back up. So you can, I think very similar to Rachel would be, you listen to the customer, you listen to what they're telling you, you understand it's important to them, you put an action plan in it, and then you see the result. And then I'll give you a couple of numbers. I'm one of the person who love numbers. We actually know that we measure two things. We measure NPS, and we also measure whether customer feel they're being treated like a guest. And then we know that when customers feel highly happy in both metrics, they are 2 times likely to return to the site. And then when you map out the profitability of the business, I can't tell you the number, but I can tell you it's a significant higher. So that's the reason why that I think that very often as we are doing the pre-debriefing of this panel, I said, customer experience is not a buzzword. It's really that when you do the right thing for the customer, you will see that in the bottom line. So I just want to share our experience as well. But then the question, exactly as you hear from the story, is that how do you do the right thing quickly? Because customer is not going to be, I'm going to wait year on year, day a day, month on month. They have many, many choices. You're just one of the choice. So how do you do that at speed and really drive at scale is absolutely critical. So now let's go a little bit deeper. So we talk about the transformation. And I want to talk a little bit deeper about, what's the role of data and digital? And how do you use that really as an accelerator to drive customer experience? So we start from you, Richard.
For sure, and this goes back to what you were saying earlier, that customer behavior has changed. People are now more discerning. They have so much choice. So many ways to get to. We fly to anywhere east from here, all the way to Southeast Asia, Australia, Asia, New Zealand. They have so many other choices of carriers. So how do you win their business? And how are you able to ensure that the customer experience actually drives revenue for you? So over the past few months, part of our development is always increasing and optimizing and testing how to reduce customer drop-off or bounce rates from our website, because we have a very long booking funnel from the moment they see our brand to the moment they land on our website until the moment they convert. And all of those touch points, we have to test and try different things to make sure that they don't leave. And that's even before they see the price. That's before customers will shop around numerous websites. They won't just go to your flight website. We all book a holiday. You only don't just choose one. You're going to shop around. So how do you make sure that by the time they go to you, if they leave, they're going to come back because you're the best choice out there? And how do you take care of them? So customer experience, as you said, is really tied to revenue. There's no way of separating the two at all. So for us, we've been trialing different pop-ups, automated, building a customer profile, which points do, for you as a customer, for example, you're just looking at beach holidays, what visuals do you need to see? What sort of pop-ups do you need to see throughout your customer journey? And you have to make sure that you're not serving them a city break if you're looking for a beach holiday. You're not serving them business class if they've only ever bought economy from you. So building that sort of customer profile is one way, and also trying different things, whether it's pop-ups, widgets, room to upsell ancillaries before they complete their customer journey and before they complete conversion. So just on those bits, things we've trialed, tested, different pop-ups and banners, we've noticed a 1% to 2% increase in just the conversion rate and for certain markets. And that's, again, very big, significant revenue that is just on your site alone. You're not even spending marketing campaign out. You've already attracted them in. What do you do to increase that conversion rate? So that's very big for us. And the second point as well, once they leave, because inevitably you'll have customers who will leave, try to shop around, what automated display ads and targeting emails are you going to do to reach and try to capture them back again for those who abandoned carts? Whether it's, price alerts, automated price alerts saying that you were looking, it was this price before to Kuala Lumpur. By the way, over the past few days, it's actually dropped down. Would you actually like to complete your purchase? Yeah. Or you can add additional ancillaries to them. And we've seen, again, a significant amount of increase for that customer journey as well. And that's just probably one of the many examples on how we're able to convert our customers who drive to our website. Another one is on lead acquisition. So I mentioned earlier, we have quite a range of different products. One of them is our student program called MH Explorer, which gives students up to 30% off on fares all year round, extra baggage allowance. But what we found out earlier is that we needed, and for various reasons, quite a lot of information for them to complete. And it was a sticking point because they didn't bother, even though it was a big benefit, they didn't bother completing it because it's too long. So once we implemented a single-click sign-up process, one click, we've seen 1,000-fold increases in the number of students. And that's before we even spent on any marketing to drive them in. And then we've also implemented that to our main loyalty program, Enrich, and we've seen similar significant figures as well. So it's, again, using those learnings. It might seem small when you test, but once you roll it out and expand it to other products, it will work.
Yeah. So it's interesting that I think you start to touch on a couple of really interesting nuggets. I think one interesting nugget would be with the technology and capability now, your ability to really segment, personalize different offer, because my needs might be very different from your needs. And then also that how do you really look across the journey to say, where do you have the biggest opportunity? How do you use test and learn to say how do you improve? So I think, and then you measure that. So I think that's really, really good. Be careful about that. You don't need to use marketing dollars. Your CEO might not give you too many dollars.
Oh, for sure, especially not at this time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. No, that's good. How about you, Richard?
Yeah, so I think for us, we're a smaller business, obviously, and not so far down our digital journey as well. But the change that's taken place in the market has allowed us to do a lot more digitally. And so there's been a whole range of different aspects of digital marketing that we've done more and more of, and we've tried to sort of use the data and use what we understand about the customer to help. So we're much more engaged, for example, on on-site chat, and our on-site chat is linked directly back through to our telesales team. So we have both an online and a mixed approach to serving customer needs through that. Much more engaged with paid advertising. In Pre-pandemic, we simply didn't do any pay-per-click advertising at all. It wasn't relevant to our business, genuinely wasn't relevant. But because of the shift to online and the shift to B2C, we found that actually pay-per-click now delivers really significant revenues to us, and we monitor that very closely. On-site optimization, both in terms of SEO and in terms of user experience as well. And I think what we've found is that by tracking the data and by tracking the customer interactions, we're able to build a relationship with people in a way that we weren't previously able to do. And that could be everything. At the moment, you'll have seen, of course, a shortage of drivers, and there's a lot of government effort behind trying to get people to consider driving as a career. And so, again, we've been able to use what we've learned through the traffic that's been coming to the website over the past 18 months to make sure that we are a go-to destination for somebody who is looking to get into that as a career, and then to interact with them and to effectively nurture a lead and to take them on a little bit of a journey, as you described, take them on a little bit of a journey through both online interactions and in-person interactions. To deliver a much better experience for the customer, and it helps us to understand where are the particular pain points. And something we were talking about this morning. It's interesting for us that when you combine the sort of the human interaction of the telesales bit with the digital interaction of chat, you can have a conversation with people. And that human connection, although we're talking digital, that human connection has been really important for us. And if we can feed that information back into the process, then we can again target the information that we're sharing and the journey that we're trying to take people on a lot more effectively. So it's been a transformation for us.
Yeah, and I have to say that in the last couple of weeks, I've been in multiple cookieless world conversation. And for your business, historically, you don't have that much customer direct communication, ownership, and data. And as you build this more and more, exactly to your point, that the relationship, even at this point in time, they're not your customer, but as you continue to nurture and then serve and add value, I mean, the odds of possibilities are enormous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, which is incredible. Yeah, no, that's really good. And I'll share a little bit about our journey. So, so one of the things we have embarked in the last couple months is really about how do we drive personalization at scale. And exactly as Richard said, that your needs might be different from your needs. And it's, I think the time about serving the same offer, same message to same one, assuming you have the same needs, is gone. So we have been embarking quite a journey in terms of using technology like Offer Decision Engine, ODE, and really understand that based on all the customer transaction behavior, how do we understand what would be the right integrated message and integrated offer that will best serve your needs? What's the next best action? And then maybe a person show up in this area based on the historical performance versus that customer is very different. So we have went through quite a number of countries pilot using Offer Decision Engine to say, as we drive more personalization at scale, are we able to drive higher customer satisfaction, but also higher revenue? So the early results has been extremely encouraging. Our business case is to deliver roughly about 2.3 incremental margin, which is massive for our business. But the pilot country that we implemented that technology, we're actually seeing much higher than 2.3 incremental margin. So that's I think that's just one part of the user case we're driving. And then the other part of the user case, also similar to what both Rich is saying, one of the user case we start to put together, I could be a customer who I saw an ad on in the digital. I could be showing up at store. I could be your loyalty program. And so far that, how do we link the dots where technology it's become a possibility, but historically we're perfectly okay that when you do that big ad, we're perfectly okay that they don't connect all the dots to your loyalty and CIM program. So we just chartered the team about 4 weeks ago with multiple user cases under the mission about I want to under the customer in the connected way, in the paid, owned, and earned. Because if I can figure it out, then my marketing effectiveness and the revenue is going to be at least 20 or 30% higher, which is also a possibility. And then as you drive personalization at scale, you not only understand their purchase behavior, you also understand their browsing behavior and what are the broader interests than just retail. So that's the other journey I think we're embarking. And I was in Copenhagen last week, spending a couple of days with one of our lead agency in CRM. And there's one quote he told me, which I was really kind of really believe. He said, nowadays the technology is not the barrier. The barrier is really how the company and the business and brand really ask the right question and then really drive the right path. But the technology is there, but you just need to drive it. So I just want to share that experience as well. So we talk a lot about success, we talk about technology. Now let's talk about challenges. So I'm sure the journey is not all glory, rosy. So what challenge you face?
Not at all, and also related to your point earlier about one is building that customer profile. Our goal, of course, is getting to one-to-one marketing, where knowing exactly how to target, when to target you as a customer, as opposed to everyone in this room having their own personalized profile. That's the dream, but that's easier said than done. As you said, technology is there, but for example, we use Adobe Campaign, we have Audience Manager, but it's getting all of those touch points to talk to each other. If I put an ad in the paper, how do I know? Of course, there's a way. How do I know that conversion is attributed to that ad on that day in print? Of course, they're going to be seeing your ad across different touch points as they browse the web, as they go online, as they use the social media platforms, and it will link through. But again, how, with all certainty, how are you able to prove that? So that takes time to build, and that's also dependent on the budget, the time, and the size of your team. So that is one challenge, big challenge for us. Always, as you said, budgets and from the CMO, always isn't as what you need it to be at the time. So it's making use of what you have with the timescales that you're able to have, and essentially looking for those quick, small wins that you can expand and roll out, rather than to try to focus on doing something very big at the moment. Of course, you're gonna get there, but missing the quick wins that you already can do at this time to drive your immediate revenue.
Yeah, your challenge, Richard.
So in a word, it's communication. And that's communication between digital systems and communication between people and the digital system. So just very briefly, I mentioned about how fantastic it is when you can get the sales team talking to the marketing team and really understand, for example, the pain point that your particular customer is talking about, and feeding that into the marketing process and the sort of the marketing logic is very, very useful. But of course, the salesperson is actually mostly probably driven by getting on and making the next sale and the next sale, and they're not terribly interested in reporting back always. We're similar but not identical animals, aren't we, sales and marketing? So that's one aspect of it, and then the systems talking to one another is the other big thing. I'd love to have a single customer view. I'd love to be able to say, right, well, this is a customer who is buying training products from us, but could also do with help finding work, or they bought this training product from us and we'd like to sell them this training product as well as an upsell. And we're getting better at it, but we're not there yet. And so I guess on the one hand, that's a challenge, but on the other hand, it's quite nice because we've got something to aim at, and we can continue to improve. But communication. Yeah, we have a bit of a roadmap.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly the same for us. It's about that customer want seamless experience, but then how do we break down our internal silo between different teams and different agencies, and then geared towards the customer instead of individual silo KPIs. So that's exactly the things that we're working on. Yeah. So I want to give some time for questions from the room. I think that you hear a little bit about our journey, our challenge, and then our reflection. But I think we've got some time for a couple questions. Yes. You first, and then you second. Yeah.
Cool. Great. So you talked about the importance of personalization, like content delivery, also persona building, tracking the journey. How have you found or experienced things like GDPR compliance, cookie blocking, and cookie acceptance pop-ups? Has that impacted your ability to or do you feel then reducing it?
Like for us, we're trying to build as much first-party data, same with the survey. So really nurturing because we have a loyalty program as well. We have people who only sign up to the newsletter. We have also people who purchase with us once, but meaning they're still getting our content. So it's accumulating that first-party point of call. So it's accumulating that ecosystem. And then once we send out the survey to all of them, actually surprised that regardless if they're on a loyalty program or they just bought the fare once, they actually still take the time to complete those. So it's building that and expanding that much more and putting that as the focus. So we're less affected on the third party, as you say.
Yeah, and then for us would be that we actually see that that's actually very foundational. You have to do the right thing. And one of the things that we're tackling on, because we recently acquired quite some portfolio business, like First Utility in UK, Ubitricity, etc. But then if you really want to drive that single customer personalization, the GDPR marketing consent, how do you make sure that when you have a portfolio of company, you're able to get that foundation correctly? So that, because if that's not in place, there's nothing you can do. So we're putting together a very systematic and rigid process to say every single portfolio company within the B2B portfolio, how do we make sure we get that foundation done? Which is absolutely essential. Yeah.
Gary Jones from Clear SSLG. I'm interested in this sort of fast, slow data question. So you're talking extensively about the sort of the fast, actionable data that you're getting from your digital channels. Increasingly, our clients are asking us, how do we connect that up with the strategic, slower data, the big quantitative segmentations that have been done, that have been invested in from a strategy perspective? How do we connect that up, make both elements actionable and help each other out? I think that's, for me, that's the next real challenge we're all facing. Have you started that journey? Are you on that route?
Yeah.
Starting, let's put it that way. Yeah. But nowhere near, as you said, as connected yet.
Yeah, same story. I mean, our databases are smaller. I don't know what I'd do with a database of 30 million people, to be honest with you. But
I can help you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. There's probably somebody in the room who'd like to sell me something as well.
Yeah. That's the next phase.
But you're absolutely right, and it is fascinating actually. That the whole interaction between the sort of the longer slow burn stuff and then the act quickly stuff. Yeah. But no, we're not spending a lot of time thinking about that just yet.
No, we actually we actually started quite there's a couple of reflections. One is that the traditional big customer segmentation, we felt that that's no longer fit for purpose. But then as you get more data, what's the real time segmentation based on the signals and behaviors and how they behave, and then how do you then form macro segment and quickly then test and do and reforming. I think that's the path we're on.
Like guiding long-term strategy whilst also doing
Yeah.
fast stuff that you're
Exactly.
very good at.
Exactly. And then the other really big thing is that the traditional segmentation, one big question is actionability. Are you able to really reach them, serve them, track them, measure them? And a lot of challenge for the traditional segmentation that it looks beautiful in a piece of paper, but then as you start to really look at actionability across the value chain, then that they don't. So that's why that we are moving more and more towards that with the first-party data, second-party data, with the real behavior signal. How do you then not just about our belief, but real customer behavior to form that segmentation, and then you serve them, and then you're reforming. So I think that's the journey we're at. I think we probably have question for one or two more questions. Yes.
Thank you. Just to come back about the point about breaking down internal silos, and particularly where businesses are absorbing other activities, other businesses, and go back to the point that was being made about the customer interface. And it's about the company being responsive to the customer rather than expecting the customer to operate in your time frame. And I think that's something which gets lost in all the excitement, if you like, of having digital marketing and lots of data and so forth. As an EV driver, having been a loyal Shell rewards user, mostly because the garage had the cheapest petrol around, but having gone to an EV, I now got a rewards app which is pointless because it doesn't connect to the Shell plug-in app, and there's no touch point. I'm not picking on Shell. I could have picked on others, but it's just a symptomatic of the way businesses sort of work on their timetable, as you said, to merge databases or to create interfaces, and forget that the customer may be feeling a little bit sort of hurt and upset that they've been forgotten. And the other one was just to come back to the point about the data and the real-time segmentation. Just to reflect that it sounds, and this will be a little bit left field, but it sounds awfully like the same challenges facing traffic system managers who are controlling in real time flows of traffic on the roads. Now, it's a big jump, but nevertheless, the same decision making is having to be made in very rapid time. And the ability to do that with huge amounts of data coming in from all sorts of things, not these cameras, is very similar to the sort of problems that marketeers have in helping their businesses react and respond. I mean, obviously in consumer goods much more than, say, the more things like selling airline tickets. But nevertheless, I think there are some technology lessons and approaches that would be helpful if people talk together a bit more.
Yeah, and I'll just reflect because it's good that you mentioned about EV. I have to say I probably spend a good 20% of my time and my team's time. When you have different offers, different portfolio companies all around the EV area, one of the very real questions we're asking, how many apps you want the customer to download? The customer only want one, and now we have 4.
Do you know we don't want one at all?
Yeah.
We just want to be able to walk up to a charge point, plug it in, and let the car, because that after all apparently has got more compute power than it takes to get to the moon.
Yeah.
Let the car talk to the charge point, which itself is connected through
Yeah.
a SIM.
Tesla has that already. Yeah.
Well, good for Tesla, but the rest of us are
Yeah.
with a lot less
Yeah.
money.
But that is a game changer. I 100% agree with you. That's the point. You don't want to have all the hassle of charging, opening an app, and all you want to do is plug in and get it.
So that's why that I think that I would say that I think we talked this morning is about it's absolutely I would say it's a mind shifting, because in the old days that you develop a product, you develop an offer, you develop an app, you push the customers. One of the things that we start to really the language we talk at Shell now is a customer back. So don't talk about what you want to push. Exactly to your point would be that what's the experience customer want, and sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong, but then linking back to what I talked earlier, that if you have a channel to, again, really just listen and understand, then we get it wrong, then we challenge ourselves and to say, how do you adapt and pivot? Yeah. So that's one of my reflections. I don't know whether two of you is that we don't get it 100% right, but that at the same time, the customer expectation, like when you drive an ICE car years ago, maybe you're perfectly happy. Now you switch to EV, you're perfectly unhappy. The customer experience and then also behavior or needs is also shifting, and that's how I would say that it's a never-ending journey because the bar gets higher. I don't know whether any reflection from you.
For me, for the whole session, it's back to your point. It's test small, test quick, test often, and if it wins, roll it out to different products because you will have a different range of product portfolios that you can actually roll it out to.
Yeah.
My final reflection is just that it's just don't wait. When I first heard who else was going to be on the panel, I wasn't entirely sure whether our story was going to be as relevant. But then I thought, well, I've been to these events before, and actually there'll be some of you in the room who are not working for multinational businesses. But actually, there's a whole lot that you can do, and you can do it quickly, and you don't have to stop and think about it, and you don't have to spend a fortune on it. It's just do something, and then learn. Just move quick, do something, keep it simple.
Yeah. And then just to summarize and wrap up the section, I think that my reflection by talking to both Richards and the section would be, I think, a couple of things, right? Number one, customer experience absolutely drive revenue. It's black and white. Number one. Number two would be that data and digital and technology can make huge possibilities and potential. So really, don't start from that. Start from that. What is the customer pain point or question that I want to really address? And I can guarantee you the data, the technology, and the solution is there. It's much more advanced than any of us can imagine. And then number 3 would be absolutely agree with to Richard would be that you don't need to get it perfect. Start, test and learn and experiment and really measure, have we get it right for the customer? But then also think about, it's not you do it once, the job is done. The expectation keeps changing and shifting. So that whole notion of driving that mentality of experiment, scaling, but then also anchor on, has the customer happy? More they're looking for. If you have that process going and then also have a really clear measurement, then your customer will be happier and your business will be happier. So with that, I want to thank our panelists, Richard, and thank you everyone for the engagement today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.